The stars stretched like a sea of frozen lights across the black void. Far beyond human colonies and trade routes, a massive ship drifted in silence. It was shaped like a crescent moon, its hull cracked and scorched from forgotten battles. The name etched on its side read, Eclipse Crown. Inside that empty vessel walked Queen Soren, last ruler of the Zerath Empire, a name once whispered with fear across the galaxy. Her people had been powerful. They built shining cities on floating worlds. They controlled wormholes and suns. But power always brings enemies, and one by one their stars went dark. Now only Soren remained. Her tall figure moved slowly through a hallway lined with dim blue lights. Each step echoed like a drumbeat through the cold metal floors. She wore a robe woven with silver threads, torn in several places but still carrying the mark of her royal crest, a spiral of 3 stars. The silence was unbearable. Once she had commanded armies and ruled over millions. Now she was queen of ghosts. Her voice had not been used for years, yet sometimes she spoke to the air, to remind herself she was still alive. "Report Central Core," she said softly. The ship's weak AI answered in a fading mechanical tone. "All systems inactive. Power at 12%. No signs of life in 50 light years." Soren closed her eyes, just as it should be. Once she had been known as the conqueror of the Spiral War, but deep inside she had never wanted to fight. She had wanted peace and a world for her people to grow and build. Yet war had consumed everything she loved. She remembered the last battle clearly. The human fleets had arrived from the Terran Alliance, shining with blue engines and courage she had underestimated. They fought not for conquest but for survival. She had seen the fire in their eyes, the same fire her own people had once carried. When her flagship fell, her generals perished one by one. Her homeworld burned under the light of 3 suns, leaving only ash. After that, Queen Soren escaped into the void. No one followed. No one cared. Now she stood in the control room, staring at the holographic stars. The ship drifted near a dying moon, its light weak and gray. "How many years has it been?" she whispered. The AI replied, "Time since last contact, 324 solar cycles, 3 centuries alone." She thought of her people, the tall, elegant Zerath with glowing eyes and voices that could sing in harmonic tones. Their laughter once filled cities built on crystal platforms above oceans of mist. And now, nothing. Her hand brushed against the cold glass of the observation deck. "What good is a queen," she murmured, "when there are no people left to rule?" Soren wandered through the lower decks. She passed an armory filled with empty weapon racks, a garden chamber overtaken by lifeless vines, and a hall that once held the voices of her council. Every door she opened led to silence. In the medical bay, she stopped before a transparent capsule. Inside lay a cracked shell, an incubation pod that had once been meant for her child. She touched the glass gently. "I never even got to see you," she whispered. "I wanted to be more than a ruler. I wanted to be a mother." Her reflection stared back, tall, regal, and cold. But inside she felt like a shadow of herself. Then something strange happened. A faint sound broke the silence, a beeping tone. At first she thought it was her ship's systems failing again, but the pattern was too irregular. It was a signal, weak, distant, human. Her eyes widened. "Origin?" she asked sharply. The AI struggled to process. Unknown distress signal detected. Coordinates. Within this system. Planet designation, Nerath 4. A flicker of curiosity sparked within her. She had not heard a human voice in centuries. The last time she had seen them, they were her enemies. "Play the transmission." Static filled the air, rough, broken. Then a small voice emerged between the static bursts. "Help, crash. Someone, please." It was a child. Soren froze. The sound cut through her like a blade. Soft, desperate, innocent. "Analyze the signal," she ordered. Single life form detected.
Human female.
Age estimate less than 10 Earth years. She could have ignored it. The logical choice was to remain hidden. Humans still hated her kind. If they discovered her alive, they would destroy her. But logic couldn't silence the echo in her chest. The voice that had long been quiet. "Prepare the landing vessel," she commanded. The small ship detached from the Eclipse Crown and descended. Through the gray clouds of Nerath 4, the world below was barren, covered in ash and cracked stone. Lightning flickered in the distance, painting the sky violet. As the craft landed, Soren activated her breathing mask and stepped out. Her tall figure shimmered faintly under the storm's light. She scanned the landscape. The crash site was nearby, a human colony transport torn apart, half buried in the dirt. The smell of burned metal filled the air. Soren moved through the wreckage carefully. Her heart, though long numbed by time, began to beat faster. Then she heard it, a soft sob. She followed the sound and found a small form curled under a broken wing of the ship, a little girl with tangled brown hair and a dirty pink blanket. She held a toy made of plastic stars, one arm broken off. The girl looked up, her eyes red from crying. When she saw Soren, she froze for a moment. The queen expected fear, screaming, running, hiding, but instead the child blinked and said weakly, "You're pretty. Are you an angel?" Soren stared at her, speechless. No one had ever called her that. Her voice trembled slightly as she answered, "No, I am not." The child tried to stand but stumbled. Soren caught her gently before she fell. Her hands, though alien and clawed, held the girl with care. "What is your name, little one?" The girl sniffled. "Lena." Soren looked around, no other life signs, no movement. The transport was silent. The humans were gone. She felt the weight of the child's small hand clutching her robe. The warmth of it reached through layers of loneliness she had carried for centuries. She could leave the girl here and stay hidden. That was the safe choice. But when Lena looked up again, her voice broke softly through the storm. "Please don't go. I'm scared." For a long moment, Queen Soren said nothing. Then she lifted Lena into her arms. "You will not be alone," she said quietly. "Not while I still live." The little girl rested her head against the alien queen's shoulder, and within that cold storm, something fragile and new was born, a connection neither of them could explain. As they rose into the sky aboard the landing ship, the wreckage below grew smaller and smaller until it disappeared into the clouds. The eclipse crown waited above, dark, ancient, and silent. But for the first time in centuries, a soft voice echoed within its halls, and it was not the voice of a ghost. It was a child's whisper, alive, warm, and human. The eclipse crown floated quietly above the storm clouds of Nerath IV, its ancient metal shining faintly in the light of the nearby dying star. Inside, for the first time in hundreds of years, there was movement and life. Queen Soren stepped through the grand doors of her ship, carrying the small human girl in her arms. The lights flickered on as she passed, sensors recognizing a new life form on board. The child, Lena, slept deeply against her shoulder, her tiny hand clutching Soren's robe as if afraid to let go. Her breathing was soft and uneven, but she was alive. Soren looked down at her, a fragile being from a world she once fought against. Yet, in that small face, she saw no hatred, no fear, only innocence. The corridors of the ship were wide and empty, built for a crew that no longer existed. The AI Core's voice broke the silence as Soren entered the medbay. "Unidentified life form detected. Do you wish to proceed with containment?" "Containment?" Soren frowned. "No. Begin healing procedures. She is under my protection." The AI hesitated. "Acknowledged. Beginning basic medical scan." Soft blue lights surrounded Lena. Holographic symbols appeared showing injuries, minor bruises, dehydration, and low temperature. The computer reported, "Condition stable. Species, human, female. Age, approximately 6 Earth years." Soren nodded slowly. "Prepare nutrient mix compatible with human biology. Warm." The AI's tone softened, adapting to her commands. "Understood, my queen." Hours later, Lena opened her eyes. She blinked at the bright light and looked around the unfamiliar room. Everything shimmered. Glowing panels, tall machines, and a ceiling painted with faint constellations. Then she saw Soren sitting beside her. The queen's tall form looked almost like a statue, still and graceful. Her silver-blue skin reflected the light gently, and her long white hair flowed down like a stream of frost. Where am I?" Lena asked softly. "You are safe," Soren answered. Her voice was calm, deep but not unkind. "You were in a crash. I brought you here." Lena looked confused. Are you a robot? Soren shook her head. No, I am Zareth, a different kind of being. Oh, the girl thought for a moment. You look nice, but your eyes are really bright. Soren almost smiled. And yours are very small. For a brief moment, the silence between them turned gentle, almost warm. Lena looked around. Where is everyone else? My mama and papa? They were with me. Soren hesitated. The truth was heavy, but she could not lie. There was no one else alive when I found you. I am sorry. The child's lips trembled. She turned away and covered her face with her hands. Soft sobs filled the quiet room. Soren did not know what to do. She had commanded soldiers, faced galactic fleets, and spoken before entire worlds. But she had never comforted a crying child. Slowly, awkwardly, she reached out and placed her hand on Lena's back. I cannot bring them back, she said quietly, but you are safe here. No harm will come to you. The girl's sobs softened after a while. Thank you, she whispered. Days passed aboard the Eclipse Crown and something began to change. Lena's fear faded. She followed Soren everywhere, asking questions, thousands of them. Why is your ship so big? Do you eat food like humans? Why do the lights glow blue? Do you have friends? Soren answered what she could. Sometimes she didn't understand the questions, but the sound of the girl's voice brought something the Queen hadn't felt in centuries. Life. She began to show Lena different parts of the ship. The observation deck became her favorite. Together they watched stars through the massive glass wall. They look like diamonds, Lena said. They are suns, Soren corrected gently. Each one with its own worlds and stories. Do you have a story too? Lena asked. Soren looked at the stars for a long moment. Yes, she said quietly. But it is not a happy one. That night when Lena slept, Soren stood near the control console, watching over her. The AI spoke softly. My queen, this human child, she seems to have affected your behavior protocols. Soren replied, She is not a protocol. She is alive. May I remind you, said the AI, that contact with humans remains dangerous. If they find you, they will destroy me. Soren finished. Yes, I know. She paused. But I will not abandon her. She reminds me of what we lost. What I lost. The next day, Soren found Lena sitting in the ship's garden chamber. The once dead plants were beginning to show faint life again, responding to the girl's warm breath and soft humming. Lena held a small glowing leaf in her hand. It's pretty. Did you make it? It was here long before you, Soren said, watching the light reflect on Lena's hair. It was supposed to feed my people. Now it feeds no one. But it's growing again, Lena said with a smile. See? Maybe it just needed someone to care for it. Soren looked at her quietly. The girl's words struck something deep inside. Maybe the ship, like her, had only been waiting. For life, for purpose, for a reason to wake again. Later, while Lena was exploring, Soren checked the outer sensors. A faint pulse appeared on the screen, a distant signal. She magnified it. Her eyes narrowed. It was human military code. The humans were searching for the crashed transport, for survivors. Estimated arrival time, 72 hours, the AI reported. Soren closed her eyes. So soon. If they found her ship, they would not believe her intentions. To them, she was still the Zareth Queen, destroyer of worlds. She turned to the monitor showing Lena's location. The girl was chasing a small, robotic drone down a hallway, laughing as it tried to escape her tiny hands. The sound of that laughter filled the ship. Soren's expression softened, then hardened again. I will not let them take her, she whispered. That evening, Lena brought Soren something she had drawn, a picture on a piece of old metal sheet. It showed two figures holding hands, one tall, glowing with silver light, and one small, smiling. That's you, Lena said, pointing to the tall figure. And that's me. Soren looked at the simple drawing. "You drew me with wings," she said, her voice quiet. "I thought angels have wings," Lena replied. "You said you're not one, but maybe you can still be." Soren couldn't find the words to answer. Instead, she placed a hand over the picture. "It is beautiful." Lena giggled. "Then I'll make more." When night came, Lena yawned and climbed onto the bed that Soren had built for her. A soft nest made from old blankets and unused royal fabric. "Will you stay?" the girl asked sleepily. Soren hesitated, then sat beside her. "Yes." Lena smiled and whispered, "Good night, Mommy Soren." Soren froze. The word echoed inside her mind, strange and warm. "Mommy," she repeated softly, as if testing it for the first time. The child had already fallen asleep, breathing peacefully. Soren looked down at her, her silver eyes glowing faintly in the dark. "Sleep well, little one," she whispered. "You are safe." Outside, the ship drifted silently among the stars, unaware that something extraordinary had begun, the rebirth of a queen's heart, and the bond that would soon shake two civilizations. Morning light, a soft golden glow from a nearby sun, filtered through the observation deck of the Eclipse Crown. The old ship, once a symbol of fear and war, now hummed with quiet life. Queen Soren stood near the tall glass wall watching the stars drift by. Her reflection looked calm, but inside her heart felt heavy with thought. Behind her came the sound of small footsteps, light, playful, curious. "Mommy Soren!" a little voice called. The queen turned, and there was Lena, wearing one of Soren's old silk robes cut short to fit her size. It dragged behind her like a tiny cape. She smiled brightly, holding something in both hands. "Look what I made," Lena said. In her palms rested a small flower made from scraps of silver wire and blue crystals, broken pieces from the ship's circuits. Soren bent down to see. "You made this?" "Uh-huh." "I found the shiny parts in the hall." "It's your favorite color." Soren smiled gently. "It is beautiful." She reached out, touching the small creation carefully as if it were fragile. The flower's crystal tips caught the light and sparkled faintly. A strange beauty made from ruins. "You remind me of someone," Soren said softly. "Who?" "My sister. She used to make small things like this when we were children, before the war." Lena tilted her head. "What happened to her?" Soren looked away. "She is gone, like most of my people." The little girl fell silent for a moment, then gently placed the flower in Soren's hand. "Then you can keep it, so you don't forget her." Soren's eyes softened. "I will never forget." Days passed, and a rhythm of life formed aboard the ship. Soren began repairing old systems using her knowledge of Zerath technology. Lena helped, or at least tried to. When Soren was adjusting a control panel, Lena would hand her the wrong tools. When she cleaned the corridors, Lena would follow, humming songs she barely remembered. Soren had never thought she would laugh again. But every day Lena found a way to make her smile, even when she didn't mean to. In the evening, they would visit the ship's garden bay, once filled with withered alien plants. Now, under Lena's gentle touch, life was returning. Lena liked to sit beside a glowing pond in the center, dipping her fingers in the water. "See, Mommy Soren? The flowers are growing again," Soren nodded. "They respond to life energy. They feel your warmth," Lena giggled. "Then they like me." Soren watched her with quiet wonder. "Yes," she said. "They do." For the first time in hundreds of years, Soren felt what she had thought long gone: peace. One evening, Lena climbed into Soren's lap as she sat near the window. "Mommy Soren, do you miss your home?" she asked softly. Soren paused. The stars outside shimmered like memories. My home was full of light. Towers of crystal touched the sky. Oceans glowed with silver light. We thought our empire would last forever. Then what happened? "Pride," Soren said quietly. "We wanted more. We wanted to rule every world we saw. And when humans came, we feared them. Because they were brave. And because they were different." Lena rested her head on Soren's shoulder. "But you're not bad now. You saved me." Soren placed a hand gently on her hair. "Perhaps saving you is my way of making peace. Not with the humans, but with myself. Meanwhile, far away, human patrol ships scanned the nearby systems. The distress signal from the crashed transport had reached command. Search parties were spreading. Back on the Eclipse Crown, Soren noticed faint readings on the outer sensors. She frowned as she read them, human frequencies, closing in slowly. She didn't tell Lena. The girl was too busy drawing on the walls of the ship with bits of colored dust. Soren whispered to the AI, "How long until they arrive?" 2 standard days, it replied. She nodded silently. 2 days. 2 days before everything changed. Later that night, when Lena was asleep, Soren walked alone to the old throne room, the heart of her ship. Once her soldiers had knelt there. Once her empire had obeyed her voice. Now it was covered in dust and silence. She sat on the throne, feeling its cold metal against her skin. The crown that once symbolized her power lay broken beside it. The AI's voice echoed gently. "You have changed, my queen. You are not as you once were." Soren replied softly. "I no longer wish to rule. I only wish to protect." "You mean the human child?" "Yes. Humans destroyed our empire," the AI said. "I destroyed it," Soren corrected, "because I forgot what life meant. That child reminded me." She looked toward the door, toward where Lena slept. "She calls me Mommy. Do you know what that means?" The AI hesitated. "A human term for maternal protector. One who gives care," Soren smiled faintly. "Yes, and somehow, it makes me feel alive again." The next morning, Lena woke up early. She had made something new. A bracelet of small glowing beads taken from the ship's repair drones. "Look," she said proudly. "Now we match." She had made one for herself and one for Soren. Soren knelt down as Lena tied it around her wrist. "It fits perfectly." "Now you can't forget me," Lena said cheerfully. Soren looked at her with quiet affection. "I could never forget you, little one." That day, Lena discovered a small window near the engine bay that showed the nearby planet below. She pressed her hand against the glass. "Is anyone down there?" she asked. Soren joined her. "No, it is lifeless. Can we make it alive again?" Soren thought for a long moment. "Perhaps. Someday." Lena smiled, her eyes bright with hope. "Then we can live there. And I'll plant flowers." The queen chuckled softly, a rare sound that made the ship's empty halls feel full again. "Then I will build you a garden." As night approached, Soren sat beside the sleeping child once more. The bracelet on her wrist glowed faintly, pulsing in rhythm with her heart. But the joy inside her was mixed with worry. The human fleet would soon arrive. If they found her ship, they might take Lena away. They would never believe that the feared Zerath queen had become a protector, not an enemy. She looked down at Lena, whose small hand rested on her arm. "You have given me something I did not know I still had," Soren whispered. "A heart." She closed her eyes, remembering her people, her lost child, her destroyed world. Then she opened them again and looked at Lena. "I will not lose you too." The following day, Soren began to prepare. She activated the ship's cloaking field and adjusted the engines for a possible escape. The AI questioned her actions, but she gave no answer. When Lena asked, "Why are you fixing everything, Mommy Soren?" The queen only said, "Because I must keep you safe." "But safe from what?" "From those who might not understand," Lena frowned. "But humans are good. My papa said humans always help." Soren hesitated. "Sometimes fear makes even good people do unkind things." Lena thought for a moment, then took Soren's hand. "Then I'll tell them you're good. I'll tell them you're my mommy." Soren felt her chest tighten. "You would do that? For me?" "Yes," Lena said with a smile. "You saved me. You're my family now." The queen turned away, hiding the emotion in her glowing eyes. "Then may the stars protect us both," she whispered. Outside, beyond the stars, a human scout ship picked up faint readings of an unknown energy signature, the kind that hadn't been seen since the fall of the Zerath Empire. They began to move closer. Inside the Eclipse Crown, Lena painted new stars on the walls while humming softly. The ship glowed faintly around her, alive again after centuries of silence. And in the heart of that ship, an ancient queen stood watching her, no longer the destroyer of worlds, but a mother ready to defend one small life with everything she had left. The Eclipse crown floated like a silent guardian above the gray planet, its lights dim and its engines resting in the quiet of space. Inside, Queen Soren stood before the ship's main console, her glowing eyes fixed on the star map. Red marks had appeared on the screen, moving closer every hour. Human patrols. They were searching for survivors from the crashed transport. Soren knew it was only a matter of time before they found her ship. She pressed her palm against the cold metal, her thoughts heavy. "They will not understand," she whispered. Behind her came the sound of soft laughter. Lena was chasing a tiny cleaning drone down the hallway, her bare feet tapping lightly on the floor. The little robot zipped away and she giggled, running after it. When she saw Soren, she stopped and smiled brightly. "Mommy Soren, look, I'm faster than the robot now." Soren turned, her serious face softening instantly. "You are growing stronger," Lena nodded proudly. "Because you make me eat the green food." Soren gave a faint laugh. "It is full of life energy. You need it." The girl wrinkled her nose. "It tastes weird. But it keeps you safe," Soren said, kneeling beside her. "Promise me you will keep eating it, okay? If you eat it too." Soren smiled, a real warm smile that reached her eyes. "Deal." For a few moments, the danger outside the ship felt far away. The laughter of the small human girl made the old ship feel alive again. But peace never lasts long. When Soren returned to the control deck, the AI's voice spoke softly. "My queen, the human fleet has entered the system. Estimated arrival in 10 hours. Soren's expression hardened. "How many ships?" 4 destroyers and 2 scout vessels. Their transmission identifies them as part of the Terran Search Division. Soren knew that name well. Those were not rescue ships. They were soldiers, humans trained to find and eliminate old Zerath technology. She took a deep breath. "Prepare the cloaking shield. We must stay hidden." "Understood," said the AI. The ship shimmered faintly, fading from visible light. To the outside world, it became a shadow among the stars. Later, Lena found Soren standing near the observation window, watching distant flashes of light. "What's that?" the girl asked. Soren's voice was quiet. "Humans, they are searching. For me?" "Yes," Soren said softly. "For any survivors. But they might not understand who saved you." Lena frowned. "But they're good people. They help others." "They may help you," Soren replied, "but they will not trust me." "Why?" "Because they remember what I was," Soren said. "A queen who fought them long ago. They will not believe that I have changed." Lena's small hand reached up and took Soren's fingers. "Then I'll tell them. I'll tell them you're kind." Soren looked down at her, the small human girl who had given her life again. She wanted to believe it could be that simple. "Perhaps your words will matter more than my past," she whispered. Hours passed. The human ships moved closer. Their scanners began sweeping the system. Soren could feel the tension in the air. The ship almost seemed to hold its breath. When Lena fell asleep, Soren returned to the control deck. She stood before the main screen thinking. She knew hiding would not last forever. "AI," she said quietly. "If they discover us, I will not fight." The voice replied, "That is not logical. Combat mode can ensure survival." "Survival is not victory," she said. "Not this time." Later, Soren sat near Lena's bed. The child's hand still clutched the bracelet they had made together, 2 matching bands of glowing beads. One on Lena's wrist, one on Soren's. The queen brushed a strand of hair from the girl's face. "You should never have been part of this war," she whispered. "But perhaps you are the reason it can end." Suddenly, the lights in the room dimmed. The AI's voice broke through. "Warning, multiple ships approaching. They have detected a power surge from our engines." Soren stood instantly. "They found us." She moved to the control panel, activating the shields. Outside, the human fleet adjusted its formation. Red targeting lines appeared on Soren's screen. "Zerath signal confirmed," one of the enemy transmissions said through static. "Prepare to engage." Soren's ship shook as a pulse wave struck its shields. The deck trembled beneath her feet. She gritted her teeth. "Do not return fire," she commanded. "Queen Soren," the AI protested, "we cannot hold long without defense." I said no. Lena appeared in the doorway, frightened. "Mommy Soren, what's happening?" Soren turned quickly and knelt. "You must stay in the garden chamber, Lena. Do not leave until I say." "But, no," Soren said firmly. though her voice softened. Please, trust me. Lena nodded, eyes wide, and ran toward the intersection of the ship. Soren opened a channel to the human fleet. A holographic screen lit up with the face of a human commander, an older man in uniform. His expression turned cold the moment he saw her. Zareth, Queen, he said. You are a legend of destruction. I never thought I'd see your kind again. Soren stood tall and calm. I do not seek war. I carry a survivor from your crashed transport. A human child, the commander frowned. You expect me to believe that? The Zareth never spared human lives. Believe what you wish, Soren replied. But she is alive. She is safe. Hand her over or we will open fire, the commander warned. Soren's voice grew stronger. If you attack, you will destroy the only thing that matters to her, her protector. There was silence for a long moment. Then the commander said, You have 5 minutes to surrender. Inside the garden bay, Lena felt the ship shaking again. She covered her ears as lights flickered. The glowing plants around her shimmered weakly. She looked up at the ceiling. Mommy, Soren, she whispered, tears filling her eyes. Suddenly the door opened and Soren stepped in. Her robe was torn, her eyes glowing faintly. She knelt beside the child. I told you to stay hidden, she said softly. Lena threw her arms around her. I don't want you to get hurt. Soren hugged her back tightly. Listen to me, little one. The humans are outside. They think I am dangerous, but you can show them the truth. Lena looked up. How? By speaking, Soren said. By showing them what I could never say. She carried Lena to the main bridge. The holographic screen still showed the human commander, waiting for her response. When he saw the small child in Soren's arms, his expression changed from anger to confusion. This is the survivor, Soren said. She calls me mother. The commander's eyes widened. That is impossible. Lena blinked at the man on the screen. She's not bad, she said softly. She saved me when everyone else was gone. Please don't hurt her. The commander looked speechless. His crew murmured in the background, unsure what to believe. Soren bowed her head slightly. If you must take me, do it. But let her live in peace. Lena held on to her tightly. No, you can't go, Soren whispered. Shh, it's all right. The human commander hesitated for a long time before speaking again. His tone softened. Hold your fire, he ordered his ships. He turned back to Soren. Stay where you are. We're coming aboard. Minutes later, the human soldiers entered the Eclipse Crown. They moved carefully through the silent halls, weapons ready. But what they found was not a monster. They saw a tired alien queen kneeling beside a small human girl who refused to let go of her hand. One of the soldiers whispered, Sir, she's protecting the kid. The commander looked around. The ship was clean, calm, nothing like the war machines of old. He lowered his weapon slowly. You're right, child, he said to Lena. She's not the enemy anymore. For the first time in centuries, Queen Soren felt the weight lift from her chest. Humans, the very race she once fought, now stood before her without hate. As the soldiers guided them toward the transport ship, Lena clung to Soren's arm. You won't leave me, right? She whispered. Soren looked down at her and smiled gently. Not now. Not ever. Outside, the stars shone brighter, as if watching a forgotten queen finally make her choice. Not as a ruler of war, but as a mother of peace. The Eclipse Crown floated quietly as the Terran transport ship docked carefully beside it. For centuries, it had carried echoes of war and solitude. Now it carried hope. Queen Soren stood on the deck holding Lena's hand tightly. The little girl's small fingers curled around hers, warmth radiating through her tall alien hand. The human commander stepped forward cautiously, his face serious yet curious. His soldiers lined the docking bay, scanning but not aiming their weapons. Queen Soren, he began, his voice steady but unsure. We came to rescue the survivor of the crash, and yet... We see no threat, only life. Soren's eyes glimmered. Life she protected, and life she calls me to care for. Lena tugged at Soren's robe. Tell them, Mommy Soren. Tell them I'm safe because of you. The commander looked at the girl, eyes wide with disbelief. Is this true? He asked softly. Yes, Lena said clearly. She's my mommy. She saved me when I was all alone. She didn't hurt anyone. She's kind. Soren kneeled slightly, bringing herself closer to the girl's level. This child is under my protection, she said. I will not let her be harmed. She matters more than any war or grudge. The commander studied her, reading the sincerity in her glowing eyes. His hands relaxed at his sides. Slowly, he signaled his crew to stand down. One of the soldiers whispered to the commander, "Sir, maybe the stories were wrong." "She's not what we thought." The commander nodded. "Perhaps, or perhaps people change, perhaps she is something greater now." Soren glanced at Lena, whose small face beamed with hope. The queen felt something she had thought long dead: acceptance. The humans moved closer, their steps careful but respectful. They scanned the ship, and when they realized no hidden weapons existed, their expressions softened further. Lena held Soren's hand tightly and smiled at them. "See, she's good." "She saved me." A murmur went through the soldiers. They exchanged looks. None of them could deny the truth in the child's eyes. Innocence spoke louder than war ever could. The commander spoke again. "Queen Soren, the galaxy has long feared your kind, but perhaps this is a new story. One of peace." Soren bowed her head slightly. "I do not ask for forgiveness, only understanding." News of the encounter spread slowly through the Terran Alliance. Galaxies that had once feared the Zerath Empire now heard stories of a queen who had chosen life over conquest, care over power. Lena's words became legendary. "She's my mommy. She saved me." Those words, simple and pure, carried weight far greater than weapons ever could. In the days that followed, humans and Soren worked together. The little girl helped in the garden bay, planting tiny seeds in the glowing soil. Slowly, the plants flourished. Flowers bloomed, leaves unfurled, and life returned to the ancient ship. Soren watched from the observation deck as Lena laughed, chasing butterflies that had been brought from the Terran transport. Her heart, a heart she thought long dead, beat with warmth and purpose. No longer was she a queen of war. She was a queen of care, a protector, a mother. Human scientists approached her carefully, curious but respectful. They wanted to understand the Zerath technology, but they found something more remarkable. They found a being who had chosen humanity over revenge, a creature whose compassion bridged species, whose love reminded everyone that courage could take many forms. Soren allowed them to study the ship, but she drew a line. No one would touch Lena. The little girl was hers to protect, and nothing would come between them. One evening, Soren and Lena watched the stars together from the garden bay. The sky was painted with purple and gold, the dying sun spilling light across the horizon. "Mommy Soren," Lena said softly, leaning her head against the queen's shoulder, "do you think humans will like you now?" Soren smiled faintly. "Some may never understand, but those who see you and hear your words, they will know. And that is enough." Lena looked up, eyes shining. "Then I will tell everyone. I'll tell them you're my mommy and you're kind and brave and beautiful." Soren felt tears well up in her glowing eyes. "And you, little one, are the bravest being I have ever met." As months passed, the human colonies nearby began sending ambassadors to visit the Eclipse Crown. They came with curiosity, and slowly with trust Soren welcomed them, teaching them the ways of her technology, showing them how life could flourish even in the cold emptiness of space. The story of the Zerath queen who protected a human child spread across star systems. It inspired humans and aliens alike. Diplomats, explorers, and scientists spoke of her as a symbol of hope. And always, at the center of it all was Lena, laughing, learning, and reminding everyone that even the smallest voice could change the universe. Years passed. Lena grew taller, stronger, and wiser, but she never forgot the bond she shared with Soren. She would often sit on the observation deck, holding Soren's hand as they watched distant stars. "Do you remember when you first found me?" Lena asked one day, her eyes bright with wonder. Soren nodded. "How could I forget? You reminded me that even in silence, life can be beautiful." "I want to explore the stars with you," Lena said. "I want to see every planet and meet everyone. Maybe we can help them all." Soren chuckled softly. "Perhaps we can, together." One day, ambassadors from both human and alien civilizations gathered aboard the Eclipse Crown. They stood in awe of the thriving gardens, the glowing corridors, and the peaceful queen who once had ruled with fear. Lena stepped forward and raised her voice so everyone could hear. "This is my mommy. She saved me when no one else could, and she can help all of us too." The crowd was silent for a moment, then slowly erupted in applause. Not for power, not for war, but for courage, care, and love. Soren knelt beside Lena, her eyes glowing brighter than ever. She realized something profound. She had won not by conquest, but by protecting what truly mattered. Her empire had ended in ashes centuries ago, but from those ashes something new had risen. A queen of compassion, a mother of hope, a bridge between worlds. Years later, stories of Soren and Lena spread far beyond the Orion Arm. Children told tales of the alien queen who could have destroyed them but chose instead to save one little girl. And in quiet moments, when the galaxy seemed endless and cold, Soren would whisper to Lena, "You gave me life again. You showed me that even a queen can love and even a heart broken by war can heal." Lena smiled, hugging her tightly. "And you gave me a home. Mommy Soren, a real home." Above them, the stars shimmered, as if the universe itself was smiling. And in that vast silence of space, two hearts beat as one, a queen and her little human girl, proving that courage, love, and humanity could shine brighter than any war, brighter than any star.